So, good morning. I'm doing this presentation with Natália Botica from the Unity of Archaeology of Minho in Portugal. She's the engineer that's developing the GIS analysis, also with Manuela Martins and Rebeca Blanco-Rotea from the University of Santiago de Compostela in Spain. They unfortunately couldn't be here, so if you have any specific questions, I'll forward you their email. So I'm presenting a primarily approach to a macrospatial analysis in Iron Age and Roman landscape concerning the specific hillfort of Citânia de Sanfins that's located in the north of Portugal. And with this study, we intended to understand the role of the hillfort of Citânia de Sanfins within the surrounding territory and its relationship with other hillforts in proximity. So, our study area is integrated in the district of Porto in the north of Portugal, and this is our limited studied area. We use the River Ave in the north, in the south the River Lessa, in the coastline, and here we have the mountainous range where Citânia de Sanfins is implanted. So, to tell you a little bit about the hillfort of Sanfins, it's the starting point of our work, and there's a theory developed by archaeologists, Portuguese archaeologists, since the 80s, 90s, that this hillfort had a central place within the territory, acting as a social, political, and economical center. Also, that with the Roman campaign of Décimo Junio Bruto, between 138 and 136 BC, the smaller hillforts around Sanfins merged into it. So, taking account this and also the previous research work carried by Armand Silva, also in the 90s, this hillfort has a long-term occupation which dates between the 5th and the 3rd centuries BC, and it was abandoned around the 4th century AC. It has 15 hectares of extension, and you can see it has these two main axes of circulation, 4 lines of wall, a bath area here in the 4th line of wall, and there's also traces of medieval and Christian occupation here in the Acropolis area, with a potential chapel from the 12th century dedicated to Saint Romain, and also an Acropolis. Within this area, we also have more hillforts that have long-term occupation and a relevant role in this area, like hillfort of Monte Padrão, that's located approximately 6 kilometers from the hillfort of Sanfins, and from here you have visibility to Sanfins. This hillfort has also several phases, starting in the 9th century BC to the 3rd century AC, and also between the 10th and the 13th century AC. There's a small chapel built on top of the hillfort, and it has an extensive necropolis. Here we have the hillfort of Alvarelhos, that it's non-occupation also from late Bronze Age, and it's considered an important site because of not only its urbanistic remodeling occurred in the 1st century AC, probably due to local flourishment, but also because it's very close to a Roman road connected Porto to Bracara Augusta that passed really close by. So, because of this context, some authors consider that Alvarelhos became a secondary agglomeration settlement. The next hillfort is Guifões. It's over here. It controls the basin of the River Lessa, one of our natural barriers that we defined for the study area, and it's navigable until here, the bottom of the hillfort. It was occupied during Iron Age, Roman period, and also medieval times, and some authors consider that this hillfort had a distribution role at a regional scale, transporting goods from the hill forts alongside the river Lessa, for instance, the hill fort of Monte Padrão, as I've shown you, and ending up at the hill fort of Citânia de Sanfins. Here you have a closer view of the hill fort here near the river. So here in this map, we have the distribution of the Iron Age sites that are in our study area. You have Citânia de Sanfins, Monte Padrão, Castro de Alvarenhos, here in the basin of the river, Castro Guifões, and we also emphasize this hill fort that is also in the basin of the river Ave, and it also may have been controlling the basin, but it's still not excavated. So in this map, we have a total of 17 Iron Age hill forts, and they are distinguished here by cultural period. The red ones have longest occupation, the purple one Iron Age and Roman, and the blue one only had Iron Age occupation. There are few of them. So, in terms of methodology, we started by defining which scale of analysis we wanted to approach. Then we structured our database that is called to ArcGIS and stored the data collected as bibliography, cartography, photography. And then we had the basis to articulate the database with ArcGIS and do geospatial analysis, mobility, visibility, viscous path, and also bibliometric analysis. So, in terms of scale, we focused in this first phase on a macro level approach concerning the relationships between archaeological sites and the territory. We tried to focusing on aspects as implantation of sites, trying to observe the settlement pattern and any visible relationship with natural resources as rivers, pathways, and good aptitude soils. In terms of the structure of the database, this is developed by the Unity of Archaeology of the University of Minho, and the architecture of this information system is modular and allows the registration not only of the archaeological excavation process, but also links with context, namely territory, sites, whatever type of information you want to add, you can connect. And then this is the back office with the example of the information related to Citânia de Sanfins that we use to standardize all the collected and stored information. This application is designed to work in a browser, and it's available in back office and also in the field. So here you have like bibliography, interventions, materials, cultural period, all sorts of, even hydrography, geological context. You can add all sorts of information you want and later on link it. So moving on to geospatial analysis, we did like a first map with anisotropic lines, and it was instant that you can see that with the topography of the terrain, there's two different sets of spatial organization between the sites. One in a mountainous interior area and one in the coastal line. So we decided to apply the same set of analysis, but we did a least cost path here in the mountainous area between the hill forts of Citânia de Sanfins and Monte Padrão. We wanted to better understand their relationship. So here you have the examples of sets of analysis we applied to the mountainous area, starting with the digital elevation model to verify and compare the hill fort's altitude. And we can see here that the higher hillfort is Citânia de Sanfins. Also, we did an essay on soil aptitude distribution, but due to the lack of the information of the map, we just could observe that there's a heterogeneous dispersion of sites between areas with high to moderate and marginal aptitude. Then we did an isotropic line analysis, considering the topography of the terrain, and we were able to determine the time necessary to move from one hill to another and to the resources. We applied these criteria in general to all hill forts, but we did it specifically to Monte Padrão and Citânia de Sanfins to better understand their individual dynamics. And in the case of Citânia de Sanfins, we find that it takes between 45 minutes to 1 hour and a half to reach all the surrounding settlements. Also here, we have a least cost path analysis between Citânia de Sanfins and Monte Padrão, with a visibility analysis of 2 kilometer range. And you can see here that, not here, but in a closer view, the starting point we defined it to the least cost path in Citânia de Sanfins was the third line of wall of the hill fort, and in Monte Padrão the arrival point was the top of the hill fort. And the least cost path starts exactly from one of the main entrances of the hill fort of Citânia de Sanfins, and also crosses, this is a Roman road, crosses the Roman road in three specific parts, in which one of them is a crossway for the river. And also with the visibility, we can see that both of these sites, domain parts of the not only the Roman pathway, but the least cost path. And then we crossed, because of the lack of information we had, we tried to cross the soil aptitude, the map, with an isotropic line and visibility at 2 kilometer range. And we can see that most of the sites have within 15 minutes visibility to water resources and good aptitude soils. So to combine this, we did bibliometric data analysis. We did an exhaustive collection of bibliography and archaeological data that's available in the Portuguese portal of Archaeology, and with it stored in our database, we were able to map it and analyze in a quantitative and qualitative distribution of the available data. So, as this map highlights, there's a discrepancy between the studies of different sites and different types of studies. We also note that there's a few studies of material culture, partially because of the absence of archaeological excavation. So, here we decided to see how many material studies are, specific site studies, and generic occupation in our niche studies. So you see that hillfort of Sanfins is mainly the mostly studied and referenced, and between this territory you see there's a lot of lack of material studies and specific studies of the sites. We also produced other maps about how many of these sites were excavated, what's the state of preservation, and so on. So, with this type of analysis allowed us to reinforce the pre-existing knowledge about these hill forts, specifically Citânia de Sanfins, and also the importance of these long-term occupation sites. We have also identified two main patterns of settlement differentiated between the coastal zone and the mountainous area. This first group is characterized by semicircle position orientated to the sea, and there's a communication pathway north-south through here. And the second group is defined by the implantation in high ground areas, possibly articulated with defensive needs and territorial domain. But we need to articulate more data and a multi-scalar approach in order to advance in the understanding of these relationships established through time by these hillforts within the territory. So, final considerations. We think that good data supports high-quality research and verifiable interpretations. Therefore, the need to build a good information system with variable data that can be accessible and traceable. Also, landscape studies and geospatial analysis have to be combined with different levels of knowledge, but also contrasted with other archaeological data obtained with more conventional tools, like the archaeological survey, excavations, and so on, so that we can refine their characterization and chronology. And at last, the articulation between these two types of data, geospatial and bibliometric, allows us to strategize future research work, which allows us to deepen our knowledge of this area at a macro level and feed back the information systems with good high quality.